So I was watching this video by the American Copwatcher Project where they were interviewing several cop watchers. Tom Zebra was in it, Joe Cool, Otto the Watchdog, Laura Shark, Munkay was in it, and they were interviewing these cop watchers. And I have great respect for what these people do. And Otto says this to Tom Zebra. Let's watch that video clip I'm talking about.
Maybe what you're doing now is going to affect.
That's always.
Maybe somebody else is going to take what you've done and turn it into something that actually affects more people than just you alone.
So when he says maybe somebody's going to see what you did and maybe add something to it that will change the lives of a lot more people, I hope this is that video. I hope it is. I think it is. So the Americans with Disabilities Act, it takes away state sovereign immunity under 42 U.S. Code 12202 and 28 CFR 35.178. Also, there's a 2004 case called Tennessee versus Lane that confirms this absence of immunity, this abrogation of immunity by Congress with the ADA passage. And so when you invoke the ADA, you're putting on another level of liability onto the cops. Here's the card that I carry. And the reason I carry it is because just a basic police interaction is already a disability because of Frazier versus Cupp that gives them the permission to lie and use deceptive techniques against you anytime they're conducting an investigation. And what do they do when they pull you over or come up to you? They start asking questions. Very first question out of their mouth is an investigation. So they have the ability to use deception during that. And because they can lie, and we're supposed to be able to expect honest services from them, and we can't because they're given the ability by the Supreme Court to lie, that creates a physical and mental impairment that substantially limits the major life activity of communicating, also interacting with others, and more. So this is a problem, and they have not reckoned with it. And the ADA on cop watching will turn it up a notch. So this is why I'm putting this out there. Send this to the cop watchers you know. Tag them in the video. Share it with them. Do whatever you can. But I've talked to a lot of cop watchers, and I've got a lot of respect for them. S.A. Ecstasy Prez, great guy. James Freeman, great guy. John Felix, what a guy. I mean, Jeff Gray, the GOAT. I mean, there are a lot of people that do cop watching, and I respect the hell out of them because of what they do. So I'm showing you how the ADA can turn it up a notch for you as a cop watcher to create liability. None of this video should be construed or taken as legal advice because I'm not an attorney and I'm absent intent or authority of giving you legal advice. Okay. I'm a certified Americans with Disabilities Act advocate, and I know how the ADA works, and I know that it removes the immunity from them. And so I do this for people going into court all the time, document how the court is violating the ADA. So I'm getting ready to show you. Here's the card I carry, and I'm going to give you a chance to copy it. You can make one of your own. Now, here's a card I am offering for free. I'm a certified Americans with Disabilities Act advocate, and I carry a card similar to this. Mine's worded similarly, but just a little different because I am a certified ADA advocate, and I can put my credentials on there. But here's what I say to them. Here's the first thing they read. I hereby invoke the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. Your ability to legally use coercive and deceptive techniques against me, Frazier versus Cupp, 394 U.S. 731, creates a disability that substantially limits my major life activities of interacting with others, communicating, and more. Additionally, I am diagnosed with fill in the blank that precludes me from participating in any consensual conversation with you if you have PTSD, ADHD, anxiety, communication disabilities, or similar. So you can also edit this and just say, additionally, I am precluded from participating in any consensual conversation with you. Okay? That lets them know you don't consent to a consensual conversation. Tell you what, let me do this just so you'll have it. So if you do not have PTSD or anxiety or ADHD or communication disabilities or the sort, this is an alternate last sentence of that first paragraph up there. I withhold consent for participating in any consensual conversation with you. That lets them know that you are not consenting to a consensual conversation. I hereby request to immediately speak to your designated responsible employee under 28 CFR 35.107A, or alternatively, that you allow me the modification of the ability to contact my ADA advocate, aid and encouragement under 42 U.S. Code 12203B, which is a federally protected activity. Because of my disabilities, I am currently denied equal access to your programs, services, and activities, so I am already discriminated against by this interaction. Now, this is ADA wording that I've got on here. This is what the law says. You are with notice that 42 U.S. Code 12202, 28 CFR 35.178, and Tennessee v. Lane 541 U.S. 509 removes your immunity concerning ADA claims. The ADA is clearly established law. Do you get that? ADA is clearly established law, therefore their qualified immunity should go out as well. You're also with notice that 42 U.S. Code 12203B makes it unlawful for you to use coercion, intimidation, threats, or interference while I am exercising my rights under the ADA, which is perpetual. It means it doesn't stop. I reasonably request that you accommodate me by avoiding the use of coercion, intimidation, threats, or interference with my ADA rights and connect me with your ADA coordinator. I am also handing you a copy of the U.S. DOJ Statement of Interest in the case Lou v. Lopinto in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Louisiana, in which the U.S. DOJ outlines your duties under the ADA. You are without deniability of your duty. This is neither a request nor an indication for medical or mental health intervention. This is a request for equal access under the ADA. So let me say this about this card. The reason the last paragraph says it's not a request for medical or mental health intervention is because I don't want them using the card as an excuse to call out a psych team. They don't have a right to do that if you tell them right up front, this is not a request for that. This is a request for reasonable accommodations. And also because I know somebody's going to ask, well, what do you do if the ADA coordinator calls out? Well, then you get the right to ask the ADA coordinator for accommodations, reasonable modifications to their policies and procedures that can allow you to experience the honest services. I showed you the honest services fraud earlier. So you can expect to receive the honest services of the police without Frazier versus Cupp allowing them to lie to you. Ask the ADA coordinator how they can modify their services so that every statement or every question out of the cop's mouth can be an honest question, not deceptive. Every statement out of the cop's mouth during any kind of investigation is an honest question and cannot include deception, and they can't do it. You've got them in a catch-22. That's what's going on. I'd like to see Frazier versus Cupp overturned because nobody else should be able to lie to us if they're expecting us to tell them the truth. I mean, if a cop comes up and says, I can lie to you, but you got to tell me the truth, how fucked is that? Seriously. So if the ADA coordinator does call out, ask for reasonable modifications to their policies that allows them to always be honest with you and put it in writing. 28 CFR 35.164 says they have to answer you in writing. That's their duties. So now let's read what Lou versus Lopinto says. This is the case Lou versus Lopinto in the Eastern District of Louisiana. Here's the case number if you want to go look it up on Pacer, and you can get a copy of this document yourself. You can even write the court and ask them for a certified copy. But this is a statement of interest from the United States Department of Justice, and it's to address the application of Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act to law enforcement interactions with people experiencing disability-related crises. I would posit that every police interaction is a disability-related crisis. So I'm going to show you some of the sections I've got highlighted here. And I'm also going to put the link down here at the bottom of the screen. You can go get your own copy from the Department of Justice. They've got it linked on their site. But it says, first, Title II and its implementing regulation prohibit law enforcement agencies from denying individuals with disabilities the opportunity to participate in or benefit from their aids, benefits, or services, and requires them to afford people with disabilities an opportunity to participate in or benefit from their services that is equal to that afforded others, and is as effective as in affording equal opportunity to obtain the same result. 28 CFR 35.130B11, or lowercase 1 and that through 3. Where necessary to avoid discrimination against people with disabilities in these systems, law enforcement agencies and their officers are required to make reasonable modifications to their policies, practices, or procedures. 28 CFR 35.130B7. Failure to do so may violate the ADA, and the record here contains evidence that the defendant failed to modify their procedures to accommodate EP's disabilities. So let's go on down here. Once the scene is secure and no threat to human life exists, that means no exigent circumstances, law enforcement officers must make reasonable modifications to accommodate an individual's known or obvious disability-based limitations. Now, this is real key right here, because if they don't know about it, they have deniability. That's why I'm showing you the card that I carry, so that's the first. If you really want to turn this up a notch, and you know you're going to be investigating a certain agency, send them a letter invoking your ADA rights. Send them this card. Sign it. Put your name on it. Let them know who you are and that you're invoking your ADA rights in any and all police interactions. Then go do your cop watching and hand them this card with the Liu versus Lopinto statement of interest. I would suggest that you highlight the portions that I've shown you and let them figure it out, because they have a huge liability at that point. Period. It's going to turn it up a notch. I hope this helps.